Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. Lots of graded stakes action at Santa Anita on Saturday. Of course, it's Big Camp Saturday. You've got the San Felipe for 3-year-olds, but an interesting sprint race is the Triple Bend. It's race number 8 at 7 furlongs. Let's toss up the field of older horses. And I asked you before the Big Camp preview, I said, well, who's going to run with Midnight Storm early? I'm going to ask you before the Triple Bend analysis, who's going to run with Masochistic early?
When this field came together, it really disappointed me because Masochistic, he has a world of ability. There's no denying that. He's very, very fast. I think he is very, let's say, faint of heart. I don't think he wants to fight.
He needs the lead.
He needs the lead. If there's a straw in his path, he's going to spit it and doesn't want to go on with it. I can't envision anyone going with him early. I think it makes him very, very tough.
He won this race in 2015. He's brilliant. He's a little bit brittle. He ran well in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I think after that race, you could question Mike Smith's tactics. Pretty brilliant rider, pretty brilliant Breeders' Cup Mike Smith had. I think he could have went on with it with Masochistic early. Instead, he let Drafong in the race. He kept Drafong in the race. Drafong beat him in the stretch. But he's loose in here off a little bit of a layoff. He's way the horse to beat.
Now, we talked a little bit right before we started this video about the distance and maybe at
He's
7.
run well at 7.
See, now to me, throughout my entire time looking at him, I've always felt like, 6 furlongs, he can do it just because he's brilliantly fast. I feel like at 7, you have that sort of gear where you kind of run people off their feet. And look, he's 3 for 3 at the 7/8 distance. I feel like this is actually what his bread and butter is, where the speed at this distance is a little bit better than it is at 6. Because 6, you get some of the just outrageous speed balls. I think he has that 7 furlong kind of speed. Again, I wish someone could go with him early, but I just don't see it.
First start back off a long layoff, but he's going to be probably just wheeling and dealing on the backstretch, and he's going to be very, very tough to catch. I guess if you had to try to point to one horse that could push him early, it's hard to imagine, but maybe Conquest Cobra on the outside. Now, I know Mike Beers always liked Conquest Cobra at 7, and it frustrates him a great deal when he wins around 2 turns in a mile. Last time out, he got caught up in a little bit of a duel. Follow Me Crevel, seeing the Big Camp, was able to run him down. I think he ran sneaky well. I like the cut back to 7. I don't like the fact that he might be on the chase.
Yeah, because he's on the outside. He's going to have to do all the dirty work, isn't he? And you also wonder, too, at least I wonder, the turn back, is it going to sap a little bit of that early pace out of him where maybe all of a sudden he's got that route speed as opposed to 7/8 sprinting speed? He's the one, he's in a, darned if you do, darned if you don't. If you sit back and let him go, you're not going to run him down. If you go with him, you might cook your own goose.
We know that the 3 Kobe's back on his best day is classy enough to win a race like the Triple Bend. He was 3rd in the 2016 edition, which was run during June. Lord Nelson beat him. Lord Nelson was on fire. He came back to win 2 Grade 1s, 107, 100 Beyer speed figure. Will the 6-year-old Kobe's back be better out of the gate? That's always been the question because he's going to miss the break. The question is it going to be 1 length? Is it going to be 4? If he misses it by 4 in this year's Triple Bend, he's in big trouble.
I have to be honest, even if he does his typical thing where he's just a little tardy out of the gate, I don't think he can win. I think he's going to come with his big run. It's going to be eye-catching. Everyone's going to get excited. And I'm not going to sit here and bash this horse. All he does is show up and run, but he always puts himself up against it just because he can't get out of the gate.
I think Mark Gladd has really handled the 4 Silent Bird masterfully. You get a feeling that this is a horse. He's got his little share of aches and pains, but he's never really rushed him into a tough spot. And now he feels like this horse is ready after 6 starts, 5 wins in a row. He's a half length away from being undefeated. Yeah. He's ready for Grade 1 competition. He's very comfortable at 7 furlongs, and he's got a nice stalking gear.
I like this horse a lot. I think he's the second most likely winner if someone's going to upset the apple cart. He's one of 2 that I was hoping to play, knowing that Masochistic was in here. But Silent Bird, his 7/8 races, I've loved each one of them. His most recent start, that margin of victory is a little bit deceiving, I think. If you go back and watch it, once he hit the front, his ears went straight up, and he basically pulled himself up. And then when the other horse came back at him, the rider, Pratt, got into him, and it was El Huerfano, who's a decent horse in his own right. He got back into him and he rebroke. I think this is a nice horse. I think 7/8 is much better for him than 2 turns.
The number 2 Point Piper, a new trick for him. This is his 30th lifetime start, the first time he's ever sprinted. He's got nice middle distance tactical speed. Do you think he might get run off his feet early here?
Yeah, I do. I think this is probably just a means to an end. Let's get him back into the groove, into the swing of things, and let's try to get some sort of a mile or a mile 16th race.
I think Phil D'Amato got away with one last time out with the 6 no walking. Yes, he was coming off a very, very long layoff, but he dropped this horse capable of running triple-digit Beyers when he's right, all the way down to 35. No walking didn't disappoint. Bang, right up into a Grade 1.
I thought he was very, very good. I think it's an intriguing move that all of a sudden we'd throw him into the wolves here. For what it's worth, past 5 years, dirt winner, last out, second off the layoff, sprint for D'Amato 4 for 9, 137 ROI. The problem is all 4 of them were odds-on prices, and the horses that were higher, they were the ones that were off the board. So I like this horse. I think he's interesting, but just not in here.
Masochistic, way the horse to beat. Let's take a look at our selections for this year's Grade 1 Triple Bend. You're not fooling around. Masochistic wired a window for you.
I didn't want to. I really didn't. But
He's the best horse with the best trip.
I just think dynamics-wise, he's going to be very, very tough. I really wanted to make a case for Silent Bird and your horse, Denman's Call.
I have a feeling that Denman's Call still has some upside. This is only his 3rd start as a 4-year-old, his 8th start lifetime. The connections have always thought very highly from him ever since he upset Cupid in the career debut, and then he was kind of thrown to the wolves against Nyquist, etc. This is his 3rd start back. His 1st start back, long layoff. He came with a good kick. It should have set him up for the last race. The problem was this. I don't know what happened, but he was 5 lengths slow out of the gate. He ran very hard in the stretch down towards the inside. He galloped out with a lot of gusto. I like this horse at 7. I just need someone to push Masochistic because I think Denman's Call is going to run well. It might be one of those second best well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's kind of how I looked at it with this race as a whole. I feel like you can make the case that most recent race from him was the best race of his career.
Oh, he ran.
With the exception of pulling a Kobe's back. I mean, he bobbled bad out of the gate and spotted the field a half dozen lengths. If there were any pace other than Masochistic, I'd be very interested in him. I'd be very interested in Silent Bird. I don't think there is, though.
5, 4, 1, and 3 for Matt. 1, 5, 4, and 7 for me in the Grade 1 Triple Bend, one of many graded stakes races on the Santa Anita Saturday card, and it has an approximate post time of 4 o'clock Pacific. Best of luck.